G'day everyone. In today's video, I'm going to show you how to make this awesome chest. You could use it as any kind of storage, a toy box, or anything. And the best part about this is I made this out of 100% reclaimed materials. Now this is a project that I had going on in the background for quite some time. I would do a little bit here and there. It started with me getting this kitchen hutch off hard rubbish. I hate seeing things like this go to waste, especially knowing how many salvageable materials are in it. Not just the timber, the doors, the hinges, the screws. So the first thing we have to do is break it all down and take it apart as carefully as we can. Then all of these little pin nails need to come out. So all that's done, we've sorted all the timber, we've got our good bits and our bad bits, and I've worked out exactly how much I can use. Now you don't need to glue tongue and groove boards, it was helping it all go together. So glued, clamped, and I've got 4 panels, which will be my base, my front and my back, and then one will be split to do the 2 sides. So this is where I began experimenting. I started sanding back uneven sections so I could play with different pigments and dyes and different finishes to see what different looks and effects I could get. The look that I ended up settling on was this purple acrylic paint. I thought the purple would be a really interesting contrast in the gaps of the tongue and groove boards, but I still painted these entire sheets because I wanted that purple to appear in all the little imperfections, the nail holes, and all those other little gaps, just as something unique. That's another reason why I spent so long sanding these panels rather than just putting them through my thicknesser. I wanted to keep the imperfections. I wanted those bumps and bruises, and I wanted to highlight them. So now all the panels have been painted and then sanded back, and we're ready to move on to the next step. So now it's time to build the frame. I had some construction grade pine which I had salvaged from a renovation down the road, but I needed just a little bit more. This bed head, which I'd also salvaged, the legs of that bed head were perfect because cutting them both in half gave me the 4 legs at the exact length that I wanted. So we measure, mark, and start cutting. My trusty K5 and pocket holes are going to make short work of this frame. This really makes it so easy and strong, but you know that. So you know how it goes. We set the jig up to the thickness of the material we're using, adjust the stop collar on the step bit, hook up the vacuum, and then get stuck into it. And now the magic happens. I put a little bit of Titebond 3 on the ends, just for the hell of it, and then drive in those pocket screws, which are 2-inch or 51mm coarse thread. And just like that, we've got one side done. And before you know it, we've got the second side done. Yeah. Whoop, whoop. Now for the rest of the frame, which will connect those 2 parts, and we're good. And our frame's done. So now I'm just running over it with the sander. Some parts of the frame will be exposed, so I'm just giving it a quick once over. I went over the frame with a couple of coats of Merbau, Merbar, Mabobo, Merbu stain. I had some hard wax oil which I wanted to use for this, and the Meranti looks great. I wanted to get a couple of coats on these before I actually put the whole crate together, because I honestly thought it would just be such a pain to coat the whole thing once it was all assembled. I'm actually really glad that I took these steps earlier in the process, because then once everything was assembled, it was done. So this builder's plank is going to be perfect for the lid. I salvaged it a long time ago. It's quite rough. It's pine. I do know for a fact that this is untreated. Just running over it with the metal detector to find any nails and other rubbish before I stick it through the thicknesser. So measure it all up, mark it, and cut it. And then we run it through the thicknesser. Makes much more sense to do this than sanding for the top, because we'll get the majority very flat and smooth, but we're still going to be able to keep a lot of those imperfections. So to continue the theme, I give both boards a good thick coat of that purple paint. Once that's dried, back to the sander. It's a different kind of look, but I like it. Now I'm going to join these two boards with pocket holes, a little bit of glue between the two boards, and then bang. So between coats of the hard wax oil, I give these panels a very light sand, and they look and feel schmicko. So we measure and mark our panels and start cutting them to size. My Kreg straight edge guide made this job a whole lot easier. It's one of those tools that you might not use all the time, but when you do use it, you're very thankful you've got it. So first we start off with the floor panel. That needs notches cut out around the forelegs and also the two centre uprights. So I mark those out, and then with a fine tooth blade on my jigsaw, I'm able to cut those out really easily. Then a little bit of glue and some brad nails. Bada bing, bada boom. Our floor is in. And it's as simple as that. Bit of glue, a few brad nails, and they're in. So we've got our floor, our front, our back, our two sides, and just like that, our crate is coming together. Now I need something to cover the corners. A couple of years back, I made a kitchen bench top out of 4x2s. But before I did that, I ran every piece through my table saw to cut off the beveled edges. And I hung on to them, thinking they'd be useful one day. And sure enough, there's only a few pieces, so just give them a light hand sand. Oh, crikey, mate, give it a rest. We give our corner pieces a coat of the hard wax oil before they go on. And now that our crate is assembled, we give the whole thing another coat, and we give our lid a good couple of coats. Now a couple of brad nails and our corners go on. So just place the lid on top, just making sure that everything is square and even, and mark out the hinges, screw the hinges in, and we're done. Look at that. We have our crate, made from a kitchen hutch that was on hard rubbish, an old bedhead frame, some construction pine that was in the skip, and an old builder's plank. And I am really happy with this build. The Moranti looks spectacular, and spending all that time taking apart that kitchen hutch was well worth it. I tried something different in regards to the purple paint, and I'm happy with the outcome. I'm very happy. My kids have claimed this as a toy box, which is why I went with the purple, and I like it. It's unique. I'd love to hear your thoughts on it. Let us know in the comments if you would do anything differently. I'm Ryan from Oz Sawdust Makers. Thanks for watching. I'll be back again soon with another great Kreg project. I'll see you then.